All right. It is the noon hour, and we are here with Dr. Ashley Allen Brown from the MU Extension again for another Women's Business Center webinar series. I am Lakin Coleman. I am the New Growth Women's Business Center business counselor, and we serve 15 counties. 13 of those are in Southwest Missouri region, and then we have 2 in Southeast Kansas. Our information is there at the bottom of the screen. We encourage you to check out our website. Please like us on Facebook so you can follow along and get updates on these awesome webinars with Ashley. Hopefully we have another one coming up soon. We haven't planned that yet, but today we are going to be learning about collaboration in the workplace, and we are super excited for this. I've not seen this presentation before, so it's always a treat to get to have Ashley join us and work with us on bettering anything in business and employment in general. Questions are encouraged, and there is a question and answer section. You can use the chat, and I know she's got a couple of polls for you guys, so we encourage you to be engaged in those so that we can have the best webinar possible today. And this webinar is recorded, so it'll be on our YouTube channel once it is completed. And just a little note that we are sponsored through the SBA and funded through the SBA, so we thank them for allowing us to be here today. And without further ado, I am going to stop sharing my screen so that Miss Ashley can get started.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lakin. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's participating today. I know that it is summertime, and it is not a time when you typically want to really learn about business things. So, I appreciate you being here. As Lakin said, there will be some interactive components to this. We're using Menti or Mentimeter software today, which is a wonderful tool if you do presentations. And Lakin also said that she's never seen this, and guess what? Nobody else has either. So this is the pilot run. How about that for cultivating your collaborative culture? So without further ado, here is how we're going to collaborate today. All you need to do is take your phone and scan this QR code, or you can go on your laptop to menti.com and enter the code 79097910. When you do that, now I promise you're not going to have to answer a lot of questions. There are no tests or really quizzes. These are just polls to kind of take your temperature about the state of collaboration, if you will, and how you feel about it and what you think the barriers are. So if you would, I'll give you a couple more seconds to scan that. When you scan it, it should say Menti Let's Go with a green arrow, because I haven't started the whole slideshow. But anyway, and I'll give you time to answer those things, and I'll walk you through this. If you haven't used Menti before, it's really fun, and we'll get to see the results on the screen as we go. So, all right. I'm going to assume my little troop has, oops, I see something in the chat, Lakin. Is it okay?
I'm muted. It looks like it is an AI assistant helping someone take notes. I haven't heard of that, but I'm gonna have to check into that now.
Yeah, I have lots of colleagues who use that. I don't, but probably should. Okay, so the person doing the AI is really on top of things and probably already used Menti. So here we go. Okay. All right, learning objectives. That's so important because I am a teacher. I am a specialist in this, and our learning objectives are basically today threefold. Primary elements, to learn the primary elements and importance of collaboration. Yes, I am with MU Extension, and I'm a regional economic development specialist, so you got to have data. The key to creating a collaborative culture, and tips for becoming a successful collaborator. All right. So let's take a quick survey. Let's start things off hot. Go ahead. If you haven't scanned, I'll give you an opportunity to scan that. And how do you feel about collaborating with others? Just tell me right now how you feel about it. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds because I want it to be a gut response. Okay. I don't want you to think about it too much. Okay. There we go. Oh, the majority of you are eager Excited and eager to work with others. You have a couple who are anxious and concerned. A few of you who are like me, we're kind of lone wolves. I'm more productive on my own, or I'll do it if I absolutely have to. Okay, so it's mixed, but the majority of you are excited and eager to work with others. That's good to know. Okay. So what is collaboration? Um, Collaboration is superpower. It's when people come together and work toward a common goal and achieve so much more than you can just being a lone wolf on your own, as I have found throughout my career. Collaboration allows for diverse ideas and perspectives, and this can lead to more creative and effective solutions. And it can also build greater success and greater impact for your projects. The other thing that collaboration does is it helps to build trust and foster healthy relationships among team members. Here are the key elements of collaboration. Communication. We all know that communication is so important in our daily lives, not just in collaboration, but also in just communicating in the business world or interpersonally. Shared goals and vision. When you share your goals and your vision, you're collaborating and working towards those goals. Trust and respect. When we collaborate, we exchange ideas, right? It's a two-way street. It's not just a one-way street. Flexibility and adaptability. We have to learn how to do these things. Here's what I'm going to tell you right off the bat. Collaboration is not a cakewalk, okay? It's not a cakewalk. It's not easy. It requires a lot of restraint, all right? Because you have to be flexible and adaptable, and not all of us are like that naturally, right? And others aren't either. Accountability and responsibility. It helps to foster accountability and responsibility. And when you're collaborating and you're all working towards one thing, you want to help each other be successful and not let each other down. Okay, here is why collaboration is important. I'm going to hammer this home quite a bit. I'm going to give you some statistics. Collaboration is teamwork, all right? And it enables people with varying talents and backgrounds to come together and strive towards a shared objective. This approach often results in more imaginative and pioneering outcomes, distributes tasks. It can distribute tasks and obligations more evenly, and establishes connections and cultivates a strong sense of belonging. And belonging is something that MU Extension has honed in on. It's one of our buckets. Belonging means that you feel like you're a part of something. You're a part of something bigger than yourself. You're not just out there, the lone wolf, walking through the forest. You're actually with a group of people that are doing something to make things better on behalf of everyone else. The other thing is, when you collaborate and you use teamwork, it bridges divides among diverse factions. So it brings equity, inclusion, diversity, it brings it all together if it's so allowed. For instance, a study published by the Journal of Interprofessional Care found out that interprofessional collaboration in healthcare can improve patient outcomes and increase job satisfaction among healthcare professionals. The study also identified communication, respect, and trust as the key factors contributing to effective collaboration in healthcare teams. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Collaboration is important in any industry. It doesn't matter if you're in healthcare. It doesn't matter if you're in education. It doesn't matter if you're in business. There are all kinds of studies published, and I'm not going to read them all because there are copious amounts of studies that you can read on your own. If you Google collaboration, you'll get a whole lot of scholarly information that you can use to help you learn more after this webinar. I will delve into this piece though, because as an educator, I'm very, very interested in certain frameworks that help us to help other people learn to do better for themselves. For instance, the Partnership for 21st Century Skills. Now, the collaboration is significant for the partnership. And if you have children who are ages, I'm going to say probably 13 to 27 or 28, then you may be aware of this framework. This is a framework for developing the whole student. It came out around 2003, 2006. I have used this study. It's used in many, many school districts. It is to help children with critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, the 4 C's. And those are the things that this consortium believes are what employers are looking for. And it's true, right? They are looking for those things. It's called the learning and innovation skills. Learning and innovation skills are what separate students who are prepared for increasingly complex life and work beyond the classroom and those who are not. So as much as this is good for students, it's also good for adults, because the one thing we want to do is to keep learning, and collaboration can help us do that. I'm going to give you a little more data now about a Stanford study that talked about collaboration. This is not probably going to come as a surprise to you, but they said that teams that work well together are 50% more productive, right? Now, I would think it was more than that, but I mean, at least half of us are, when we work in teams, we're good. But this is why I want to tell you that it's not a cakewalk. If this is 50%, then you know it's work. It takes work to collaborate. Even though we're eager to work with others, you know, we all have different personalities, idiosyncrasies, and quirks, right? And we have to manage those and make those work for everybody. A Forbes study found that companies that promote collaboration are 5 times more likely to be high performing. So I like that statistic too, that they're 5 times more likely to be high performing if they collaborate. And research consistently shows that collaboration can lead to numerous benefits: increased productivity, improved decision making, enhanced creativity and innovation, and stronger relationships with people. I will tell you, I have worked with Lakin 2 or 3 times, maybe 4, and Wacy and Tiffany at New Growth. And each time the bond just gets stronger and stronger, because I really love working with these women. We share goals. We have different personalities, but they work well together. And that's because we make them work together. But like I said, it's not a cakewalk, right? Our cakewalk is with New Growth and MU Extension. But there are barriers. There are significant barriers to collaboration. You can probably name a few, but I'll give you some statistics. And this came from, if you've ever heard of the Corel company, they have Corel Draw and some different things. It's a software company. It's also a collaborative software company. And they polled in 2022, so it's a relatively recent poll. They did a study and polled 2,027 employees from across their offices in the US, UK, Italy, Germany, Australia, and the Netherlands about whether their organization supports them, whether Corel supported them in collaborating. And overall, the employees felt like they did support that, but their answers to these things were like 64% of the participants said that poor collaboration is costing them 3 hours in lost productivity. So like if they're not collaborating with someone, they're losing 3 hours of productivity during their workday. So that's a pretty significant percentage of that 2027. Also, 20% of them said it's costing them, the lack of collaboration was costing them 6 hours. So it's doubled for that small percentage. They lost productivity. Okay, it's time to engage and collaborate. When it comes to collaboration, the biggest barriers are, now, this is a just kind of a survey, and there are answers. I'm going to ask you to choose the answer that you think is most important. They're not numbered in order. They're just listed, and the ones that come to the top will come to the top, okay? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer these. So go to your Menti. You can see the code up at the top if you need to join back on. And I'll go ahead and give you 30 seconds right now to answer the question. What do you think? What is your gut response to this? What do you think are the main barriers? What do you think is the main barrier to collaboration, to effective collaboration? All right. Okay, fantastic. So most of you said organizational culture, policies, and practices, a lack of alignment or goals in general, fear of failure, judgment, backlash, resources. Okay, so to be honest with you, this is interesting that you answered this because I have looked at several studies and we're kind of all singing the same song here, which is really interesting. 78% of employees blame leadership, the culture, the lack of resources, all of those things that we said at first. It's leadership. Leadership is not making the culture. Leadership is not creating a place for us to feel safe to do collaborating, or it's not paying off, that kind of thing. Now, the only thing I am going to say about this, remember I said earlier, collaboration is not a cakewalk. It's very difficult. Now, we can all, as employees, right? We can blame leadership all we want. We can place the blame on others, but it's about initiative, right? You also said that fear of failure, right? That was the third one, wasn't it? And then we had, let's go back and see if that'll give us the information. Yeah. So lack of goal alignment or goals in general. So if you don't know what you're going for, you know, it's like if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. The same applies here. If you don't have a full goal that you understand and you comprehend and your whole team understands, then you're less likely to be successful. Fear of failure, judgment, backlash, and conflict. I'm like so surprised that that didn't rise to the top because seriously, I think we all, some of you may be business owners on this webinar, and I think all of us have a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes, you know, especially if you're a female business owner or you're a leader, or you're working with people. Sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I can't, what can I contribute? Those types of things. So this brings me back to the kind of the secret sauce for collaboration. It's you. It's you. The culture you want to create, the collaboration you want to create begins with that person you're looking at in the mirror. It's you, the person staring back at you. It's how, you know, and you may say, oh, great. Yeah, it's all on me. Well, it is. I mean, it absolutely is. If we want to be good collaborators, then we have to initiate things. We have to follow through with things. We have to do what we say we're going to do. And we also have to manage our emotions and our responses to others when we're wanting to collaborate with them. I saw that there were some couple of things in the chat, and I don't know if those are AI or if we need to answer a question now, or if you want to wait till the end, you let me know.
It's Wacy. She said, I was thinking fear of that initial reach out when you were wanting to collaborate with someone, which all comes back to yourself.
It does. It absolutely does. That's very smart, Wacy. That's why you're the leader. You are totally right. It does. It comes right back to you. The culture or the microculture that you want to create begins with you. Now, most of you said that the organization is the barrier to collaboration. You have to create a microculture within that culture. All right. And this is how you do it. You have to create the opportunities for learning, leadership, and belonging. And I don't know how many of you saw that in the little summary of this thing today, but collab, if you say creating opportunities for learning, leadership, and belonging, it spells collab. So collaboration is totally important. And it requires the 3 C's, just like we talked about earlier: communication, creativity, critical thinking, and then as well as 2 P's, preparation and presentation. So here is how you can initiate the collaboration. All right, I'm going to talk about how you can initiate and be the leader in collaboration. Excuse me. And then I'm going to talk about how you can be productive as a participating collaborator if you're not leading the project. Excuse me for a minute. I'm going to get a drink of water and then we're going to move on. Thank you. All right. So this may seem elementary, and maybe it is, but it's something that I constantly have to remind myself because I think of myself as a creative person. But I also, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I mean, I get it done. It's just always been my nature. If you are leading the collaboration, you have to be prepared. All right. What do you want to accomplish with this project? Have goals. Remember, we talked about the second thing was not having goals aligned. So think about what is the end result. Stephen Covey says, think first with the end in mind. It's always true. What are you trying to accomplish? What is the timeline? Is this doable? Can it be completed in a year, 6 months, 4 months? Do you have to do it next month? When do you have to get it completed? What is the message that I want to use with both the public and with potential collaborators? What am I trying to say about this project? Make it an elevator pitch. What are the essential components of this project? What things do I need? I'll give you an example. Back in March, New Growth, the ladies of New Growth, and I collaborated to create hashtag Elevate, which moving forward will have a different name, but it was an empowering educational experience for women. If I had not had the knowledge power of New Growth and of a local insurance agent who also does estate planning, and they spoke, they held speaking engagements, they were presenting and educating the attendees. I couldn't have had Elevate. I couldn't have had a successful event. In my mind, it was an event for women, and it was going to be a wonderful educational experience with some delightful surprises included. And because of the collaboration, I was able to do it. So I knew what I needed. I needed speakers, I needed volunteers, I needed setup people, those types of things, just the components of event planning. This is everything that you need. You need to plan all these things for any project you do. Have it mapped out, make a grid, make a graph. Who or what organizations do I know that do these things? XYZ. Who speaks on business? Who helps with credit as an asset? Who can talk about putting imposter syndrome away? Who can talk about life balance, work-life balance? And would they be willing to partner with me? The other thing is, and this is essential, who is already doing something similar? And this is not about competition. This is about bringing them into the fold, or if you don't have to reinvent the wheel, don't, right? There may have been something that happened, and it's not like, well, we already did that. It is, let's see what these other people are doing and how they're doing it. And let's try to pull them in with us so that we can make it even more successful. Okay. They're not your competition. They are absolutely your helpers. Okay. The next thing, if you're leading the collaboration, present yourself as such. Present yourself as the leader. Articulate your message clearly. That's why it's so important to have that message and know where you're going, lady. Seriously, know where you going. Look at the end and say, this is what we're going to do. We are going to educate as many women as possible on how to build their credit, how to have a good work-life balance, how to understand themselves. And one of the things that you'll want to do is to present the ground rules for collaboration. Earlier, I mentioned microculture. Microculture is has its own sets of values and norms. When I create a microculture for collaboration, which I do often, and in a classroom too, it's a safe space, right? It's a safe space for people to be who they are and bring their best, most brilliant creativity to the table, their ideas. That's what you want. You want to create a safe space where people are like, hey, Ashley Brown's doing this. I'm jumping on board and I'm going to collaborate. You want people to say that. Clearly explain each collaborator's role and check for understanding. You may have to do this several times. It's just how it goes. Make sure it's written out in an email or, verbalize it, but also put it in writing. This is what you're going to be doing as a collaborator. You're going to bring to the table XYZ. Know your collaborators and connect them to one another. This is just not just about you bringing on collaborators and having a big successful team. It's also about putting those people together so that they can do things and they feel good working together, right? So, for instance, there were some of my collaborators really were into yoga and they taught it and they had gone to such lengths as getting certified in it. And I had a master yoga teacher and I was like, you all need to connect because you could do something with yoga, those types of things. So be a connector, be a collaborator, but also a connector of people to each other so that they can be successful moving forward after your project. And then also whenever you're the leader, and even if you're just participating, just expect the unexpected. Okay. You may have someone that you have been working with for years. You may consider them a friend, and they have done really well up until the day of the project, the event, or maybe in the presentation, and they just flip out. I had that happen at Elevate. And you just have to kind of roll with it. You expect that things might happen, but it's a learning experience, right? I'll give you an example. I had one partner that I considered to be a really strong partner, and the whole week leading up to Elevate, they spent their time calling me and basically saying, you didn't tell us this, you didn't tell all of these things. And I had to go back through my emails, and I was like, I did do these things. I didn't say that to them. I just said, I'm so sorry. What can we do to make this right? And they're like, well, and they had a whole list of things I could do better. I'm like, okay, thank you. I will try to do better next time. I apologize. But they showed up. They did a great job for me. But that week, it could have been any number of things that had nothing to do with me. The person could have been stressed out. With something else. Their child could have been sick, or maybe they just had too many things going on and they misplaced my emails or whatever. Give them some grace. Give yourself grace too. Seriously. The other thing is, you might have somebody who shows up and you think they're going to do great, and they walk around with a glass of wine and complain about you because you didn't tell them what to do. And that's okay. Remember, it's initiative. We all have to take initiative. And that did happen. And that person probably won't collaborate with me anymore. And that's okay too. You have to know your limits, and you'll learn those things as you go along. So, and I'm being funny about it because I kind of found it funny, and it was refreshing to have a little laugh with the stress. Okay. It's also about respect, right? A two-way street. Respect is a two-way street. So even if you disrespect me, I'm not gonna lower myself to that, right? I'm just gonna say, hey, we're all here for one purpose, and there's some stuff you can do over there or whatever. Or just continue walking around with your glass of wine, but smile. All right. That'd be great. Okay. So if you're participating as a collaborator, always ask how you can most effectively engage in the collaboration. And only collaborate if you really believe that that's what you want to do. Don't collaborate on a project. I mean, unless your boss tells you you have to, then you got to buck up and you have to figure out a way to spin it so that you can be productive, and be willing to accept a challenge, even if it's not in your wheelhouse. There may be something that you present, you say, I'm really good at social media, but there might be somebody else at the table who really likes to do it. So maybe the two of you can work together and you can help that person because maybe they're not as good, right? But maybe social media is not really what's needed. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's boots on the ground, helping gather sponsorships. Whatever it is, just be willing and open. When the lead person in the collaboration emails you or tries to communicate with you, always respond. Always make sure it's a two-way street, right? And it's not easy. And you may be so busy that you're like, oh my God, I can't have another email from this person. Just respond. Just say, listen, I got your email. I'm really busy right now. Can we meet whenever? Give them a time that you can talk to them where you're in the headspace to be present, because you want to be present for people and you want to really be able to manage all those things. Because when you manage how you respond, that is your power. That is power, and it's leadership. And you can really make a name for yourself and for your project and for your team if you just lead the way and you lead by example. The other thing is, in leading by example, do what you say you're going to do. If you say you are going to sponsor or you are going to do something, do it. Don't not do it unless your world is falling apart or something horrible happened. All right. I'll give you an example, because I will tell you, I can talk about how to collaborate and I can work on it really hard, but it's not easy and it doesn't come naturally. It doesn't for me. So I have to really, really work hard, and things happen. I'll give you an example. There's a huge project with MU Extension that I really wanted to be a part of. And the chair of that gave me an opportunity to be part of it last year. And I was so excited. Well, we had also moved into a brand new house that had a lot of problems. And I was expected to be at 2 places at different times throughout the year before the event. The first time I got a flat tire. on the way there to the meeting, which was an hour away. The second time, which was 2 months later, all the electricity went off in my house. I mean, I am not kidding you. It was like somebody was like, "You're not going to Warsaw, that you're just not going to go." And I was like, "Oh," and I had to text them and tell them. And I know she was like, "Oh, is this true or not?" And I was like, it's true. And I had to wait for the electrician, and those things happen. That's all I'm saying. Needless to say, that happened, and I'm not on that team anymore. And I'm sad about it, but it's just the way things work out, and that's okay. You have to be okay with it and move forward, because things do happen. She was very, very gracious about it, but we had a talk, which is communicate. If you experience a conflict, make sure you talk it through, even if it hurts and it's hard to hear. Talk it through. It's always better to talk it through than to just leave it out there and let it fester like a boil. Okay. You don't want it to explode. It's disgusting. Also, be a cheerleader for the collaborative effort from start to finish. Don't be a cheerleader in the beginning, then walk around with a glass of wine at the event and gripe about the leader. Okay, don't do that. Be a cheerleader from start to finish and make your notes, because chances are you're going to have a debrief at the end and you're going to talk about what you could have done better, right? What was good and what wasn't. All right, here is the most important thing that I'm going to tell you about collaborating. Regardless of whether you're the leader or you are the participating collaborator, you've got to kick that ego to the can. You have got to throw it out like a big stinky bag of trash. Ego is your enemy in collaboration. You may think, well, there's always ego. There is always ego. And this is also why collaboration is no cakewalk, because I will tell you, you have to listen. You have to listen openly. And you also need to know that, I know that I'm not always the smartest person in the room. I'm rarely the smartest person in the room. And a lot of people know a lot more than me. So I have to be open to receiving those things and to recognize the brilliance in others. When you are collaborating effectively, you are working together, and you are putting aside your ego to make sure that your project is able to do what it's supposed to do. And that means other people may not be able to do that, but you're going to have to. All right, sister. I mean, it is not easy. It's hard to do, but it's the best thing you can do. Push that ego aside. No matter what is said to me, I'm going to receive it in the spirit it is given. And I am going to say thank you. And I am going to manage my response. It takes an extraordinary amount of emotional intelligence and personal restraint to lead other people and to lead a successful collaboration. It does not come easy. I'm repeating myself a lot, but it's really serious. And I want that message. I want to hammer home that message. And I assure you, for me, it does not come naturally. It is something that I enjoy. I love people, but I'm always so worried about the outcome that I tend to hold things in and I forget to share certain things, that maybe would have been helpful and would have caused me less stress, that kind of thing too, because you really don't want a collaboration to cause you anxiety. You want it to be good. It's never going to be a walk in the park, but you can make it, a little better for yourself if you manage yourself. And speaking of ego, a 2017 American Express business article provided the following tips for removing ego from collaboration. To let go of ego, do this: seek and value input from others. Let people know that you are open to them telling you their side or bringing their contribution to the table. When you collaborate with people, you want to look for things that are different from your expertise, right? I may have expertise in one thing, but I know Lakin has lots of expertise in something else. And I know that Wasey has expertise, and I know Tiffany has expertise. And I know that my colleagues, do a lot of different things. For instance, I'm creating an agroeconomy summit in Laclede County for the 4th Congressional District. Now, do I know anything about agriculture? I know that I eat, and I know that food comes from the ground, most of the time. And but I have agricultural specialists who know a lot more than me, and they can help me do these things. And I need their input to make this work. I also need input about food and health and all of those things, and and data from the economy, and I get the data from Alan Spell at Exceed with MU Extension. And so you need to be able to bring all those things to the table. And if you have your ego front and center and your little crown on, it is not going to work. People are not going to feel, you're not going to look approachable, right? You can encourage other people to think a different way. When someone comes to you and says, I can't work with this person and blah, 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 get them together. Let's get together and let's talk about how we can work together and how we can make this thing happen. And let's talk about our strengths. And chances are, if you focus on the strengths, those two people can also come together. But that's also about connecting. You, again, remember, it comes down to you. Now, I'm going to show you something, and this may seem like it's out in space, but that's okay. Let's talk about collaboration in terms of the greatest collaborations of all time. Now, these aren't all of them, of course, but when I think about effective collaboration, I think about collaboration in music duos, duos and groups. So I don't know about you. I love music, obviously, and I love it so much that I spent the entire decade of the 1990s in Nashville, Tennessee. And I worked in the music industry a little bit as a jingle writer and as a singer and as a backup vocalist. And it was in between my corporate jobs because it didn't pay the bills. And so I'd get a corporate job for a couple of years and I'd stop and I'd try to do the music thing. So anyway, it's natural for me to think of these collaborations. Okay. So here's what I want to share with you. If you look at these people, all right, let's look at the Beatles, for instance. Okay. Now, individually, they're very talented artists, right? They all did their own albums. Paul McCartney still does his. Personally, George Harrison is my favorite one, and that's probably dating me, but that's okay. But together, they're the Beatles, right? I mean, individually, they're great, but they're the Beatles. Also, if you are a country fan, Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw traveled a lot in the 2000s, I think in the late 90s as well. And they're great individually, and together they really blew it out of the park. Down at the bottom in black and white is Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye, and that's Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And that's one of my favorite songs because it's an empowering song for me. And they were great individually, but together that song has stood the test of time. Now, at the bottom, you may not recognize Mark Ronson. He's with Amy Winehouse, and he's also with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Now, I don't know about you. I love Lady Gaga. I think she's her personal best, right? And we are talking about bringing your personal best to the table, right? When you're collaborating, you're bringing your whole self and your personal best, and you're pushing your ego aside. Now, do you think these people don't have egos? I mean, they're awesome, right? If you think they don't have egos, and I actually know that Kenny Chesney person, I knew him when he first started out, and there is ego there. He's talented and it's worth everything, but there's an ego. And when you're collaborating, you have to put that ego aside. So I'm going to point out the Guilty with Barbara Streisand. You may not know what the heck I'm talking about, but the Bee Gees were gods to me as I was roller skating at Mark's skating rink in Jefferson City, Missouri, when I was 10 years old. And Barbara Streisand is a mega star, right? So we know Barbara probably has an ego, but when she collaborated with Barry, Barry has an ego too, from what I've read. These are all just things I've read. But Barry made sure to put his ego aside and focus on the product, which was going to be a fabulous album in 1980 that featured Barbara Streisand. And it featured her vocals with him supporting it. She asked him to write half of her album. The collaboration went so well because Barry worked with her and got her input. He wrote all the songs and even sang on the album. And I think it won multiple Grammys in 1980. So that's super important. That you can have something as an impact as an individual, but when you combine your talents like Mark Ronson did with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, it has incredible impact. Impact is multiplied. We said that at the beginning in more, scholarly terms. The effect of great collaboration is that you have greater impact on people. And you want to have impact. You want to have good impact. And you want people to walk away and say, that was really important. Before we started today, Lakin told me that she really enjoyed the Elevate experience and it was a great time, etc. And So that's the impact I wanted. I wanted everyone to gain something and have a great time. And also, as in teaching, they were able to teach and they were able to interact and enjoy themselves too. So you want people to walk away with a good feeling and to know that you know your stuff and that you care about what you do. So let's sum it back up here. And you can tell I'm really passionate about this. So I get really excited. I told Blake, and I'm like, this shouldn't go a full hour, but I get really excited and I start doing stream of consciousness stuff. So anyway, effective collaboration, when it's done right, it can help distribute tasks and obligations evenly. It can establish connections and a sense of belonging, which is so important. And it can bridge divides and foster diversity. It can establish you and your team as superstars among your peer. And again, that's the last thing, because that's not the ultimate goal, but it's an ancillary reward for doing a good job. For instance, Elevate is now up for the Carl and Sheneman Award for Programmatic Excellence at MU Extension. I didn't ask for that, but everyone who attended said, this is worthy. And so that's important, because excellence in teaching and excellence in education is important to me. Right. And to be honest, it feeds your ego a little bit, but you got to put it aside. Okay. Because the most important thing out of collaboration is that we grow. We grow as individuals and as team members. It creates a culture of learning and growth. And if you're not growing and learning and you're staying stagnant, I feel sorry for you. I want you to grow and learn and to do better. If we engage in collaboration with a mindful yet egoless approach in which we are open to the input and feedback of others, we cannot help but grow. And growth means we are learning, we're reaching, we're improving, and we're overcoming obstacles and barriers to things that will keep us from moving ahead. Basically, that's it in crazy Dr. Ashley's nutshell. So Helen Keller said it best: alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So I encourage you to try collaboration. And now, because we're at the end of my spiel, I want to know what your thoughts are on collaboration. Okay. And I'm going to give you, again, we're going to do 30 seconds. I put the little QR code on there in case you've kind of gone off on that. But this is the last poll I'm going to ask you to participate in, but it's pretty important. So go ahead and scan. And then I'm going to set the timer for 30 seconds and let's see what you think. It's up to the top. I've got the screen. I can see Lakin and it's covering the time. All right. So most of you feel prepared. I am prepared. That's fantastic. I'm really excited that the majority of you feel like you're prepared and you're ready to go. And that's how we want you to feel. I just hope that this has brought you a little more information. Like I said, it's a pilot. So any feedback, I think, Lakin, do you have a survey that you have them fill out at the end?
They should get one from Neosera automatic.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. So fill out that survey because we want to grow this and we want to talk more about collaboration in depth. What questions do you have? Are there any questions lingering? Comments? You can comment too. You don't just have to ask questions.
Don't see anything yet.
Okay.
Oh, Lacey said I have one.
Okay.
Would you like to join? Would you like me to put you on the screen, Lacey?
Yeah, I would.
No.
Sorry.
She said no. That's good because I can't find the button to do so now.
What's her question?
I don't know. It must be a long one. She wanted us to wait while
Oh no.
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you have any advice on walking the line between confidence and ego? Oh, this is a good one because her and I had this conversation the other day.
Ooh. do I have walking the line? Oh, it's a struggle, you know? I mean, because I think that, okay, so Dr. Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, and he was a Holocaust survivor, right? And he said the space between stimulus and response is where your power lies, right? If something really upsets you and hurts your feelings, you know, being confident and leading, it's about confidence. And what was the other thing? I'm sorry, because I
The
kind of,
difference, basically the difference between, or the walking the line between confidence and ego.
okay. So confidence is when you know your stuff, right? You know that you're doing things. I'll give you an example. I have to give you real world examples. Okay. I can't just tell you what the solution is because I'm still looking for it. All right. But I had I created an ag tour last year. I had no idea what I was doing. Okay. I didn't. And I was very, very fragile because I wanted to do such a good job and so much was riding on it. It was the first time it was ever done in Laclede County. And I knew that I could, you know, make a bus tour work, whatever, but I just didn't know if it would be exactly what I wanted it to be or what my constituency wanted it to be. Okay. Which was the commission for Laclede County. And I was really, uh, I know my stuff. I know how to plan events and I know all those things. But a couple of my collaborators, like I was so focused on that. And I had a couple collaborators that let me down during that time. Okay. And they let me down because I perceived that they did that. And instead of me approaching them and telling them why it let me down or asking first, seeking to understand, I created kind of a chasm between these people, between me and these people. And I remember very distinctly thinking to myself at 3 o'clock in the morning one morning, why didn't I just ask these people if they felt like they were afraid of contributing? You know, it was like that second thing that everybody said. It's like, maybe I have this imposter syndrome. Maybe I have this or that. And I think if we seek first to understand, which I did not, all right, I admit it, I did not seek first to understand. I just made a judgment. I'm like, oh, great, let me down. And here I am doing this and blah, blah, blah. That is the wrong way to be, right? I'm confident in some things, but I'm not so confident in other things. And I think that how you respond to others and how you collaborate when someone tells you you did a great job. You know, I don't know about y'all, but when somebody goes, God, that was so great, I'm like, oh, you think so? Okay, good. You know, that kind of thing. Say, thank you. That's confidence, right? Thank you. I think it was too. And I appreciate your contribution. It couldn't have happened without you, just like Elevate couldn't have happened without all the people who collaborated and showed up and blew up balloons and did all that other stuff or spoke. You know, those types of things. I don't know that that's really an answer. I'm just giving you an example of how I could have done better because I will tell you, I'm my worst critic. And it is difficult and you have to just really work on it. It's a case by case basis. But if you don't recognize what you did wrong, then you can't fix it.
I,
Right.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, especially in that very last like sentence. Because for me, confidence, I think, is how when I respond, I think that's pretty much the difference. It is how I respond to others or how I respond to the situation. Um, and confidence is something that I have not had my entire life. I was the kid that would put my head down and walk behind my mom and like didn't, I was like, please don't talk to me.
Oh,
Now I'm the first one in the room and I'm like, hey.
and I like that spirit. That's what I like about you. You're very confident. You're the first to, but you're also one of the first to say, I'm going to give you this. What can I do for you? What can I do? How can I
Yeah.
help you? You know, and in inviting me to share my knowledge, you know, I really appreciate it. Just like you shared your knowledge at Elevate. I appreciate it so much.
Well, we appreciate you and the collaboration, and this was a great webinar.
I thought it was fun. I hope I
And you
didn't go
went
off on a
60
tangent.
minutes, not 30.
I thought it was going to be 30 because I talk so much, but I talk so fast. But yeah, so this is just, I just really appreciate everybody who took time out of their beautiful summer day to, or late spring day to attend this. And I hope that I've given you at least something to go on. And just know that this is not, like I said, it's a journey, not a destination. None of us are perfect. and we make mistakes. I make a heck of a lot of them. And we just have to remember that if we talk through things and we work it out, then it's going to lead us to better things. It is. And all we can do is learn and grow from the things that we do.
We
Oh, so anyway, this little QR code. So I'm inviting you to follow my quarterly newsletter. You'll notice that it wasn't quarterly the first time it came out, but that's okay. There was a vacation in between. So the next one comes out in July, and I'm looking for collaborators and for people to submit things to me so that I can, spread the good things that you're doing throughout the West Central region, which includes Springfield and Nevada and all of those things.
Yeah, I definitely have that saved on my phone from our conversation earlier. But again, Ashley, just thank you for always coming on. And sometimes it's even just refreshing us on things that we need to be more mindful of, or how to work on them better, or how to be a better employee or an employer. And it always, I think, touches home for me. And so I hope our viewers enjoy it. And I want to let everyone know to be sure to like our Facebook page, follow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for some more collaboration with Miss Ashley. We always look forward to it, and I'll be begging her again here very soon.
Oh, you don't have to beg. I'm happy to do it. I just hope others are happy for me to do it. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. If nobody has any more questions, we will let you enjoy the rest of this pretty day.
yay, happy summer.
Yes. Thanks again, Ashley, and we'll see you guys next month.
Thank you.